Hello and welcome to the BrightSail Breakthrough Series, where leadership, personal growth, and professional development come together to help unlock your true potential and leave a lasting impact. The goal of each episode is to provide actionable insights, proven strategies, and transformative ideas that maximize your personal power and solidify your professional growth. I'm your host, Mitchell James Royster, founder of BrightSail Coaching. Be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And thank you for tuning in. A sales professional walks into an office building with nothing on his person but his fine suit and a stack of professionally made business cards in his pocket. He brought with him no products, for he sold copiers and couldn't possibly lug such a product up the stairs and through the hallways of the building, and frankly that's just too obnoxious to wheel it into the prospect's office. Each door he passes bears a sign that reads, "No soliciting," the sales profession's worst nightmare. Though he proceeds with his head held high, his suit finely pressed, and with the grace of a true professional, greets kindly the receptionist behind the front desk, flanked by who is presumably her boss and the owner of the establishment. He begins his greeting with a smile and looks back nonchalantly at the door he just came through and says to his audience, sort of half chuckling, "Look, I can read the sign on the door." At this point, the nice woman and her boss are briefly disarmed and smile in return. He then goes on to say that he's actually not there to sell the company anything, and that even if he wanted to, he didn't have his briefcase with him to give a proper presentation. Pulling out a card from that stack he brought with him that day, he hands one to the receptionist, the other to her boss, saying, "I just finished a meeting with a client in the same building and wanted to stop in, say hello, hand you my card, and let you know that if you ever need anything, I will work my tail off to earn your business." With that, the salesman thanked them for their time and left to repeat the same prospecting process with dozens of other businesses in the same building. A year passes from this event, and the salesman gets a call from a number that he doesn't quite recognize. Upon answering, he discovers that the business owner that he encountered, the business that he wasn't initially trying to sell, was ready to buy. Come to find out, the business owner had taped the salesman's card to their office copier and waited for the right moment when it came time to replace the machine with one more efficient at its duties. Now, what exactly are we to pull from this story? How can the story help us as professionals and in our personal life, whether we sell products and services or not? Before answering that question directly, which I will before this episode ends, I've got to point out a clear fact of life and business. And while it might sound cliche given all the podcasts, books, and courses we're inundated with today, if we stop and reevaluate and accept this fact and act on it, most importantly, it will bring out the very best version of ourselves that has been waiting with bated breath to reveal itself to the world. The fact is simply this: we are all selling something to someone. Talking with your kids, assuming you have them, about good grades in school and cleaning up their room. Talking with your friend about how you think your sports team is better than theirs, and when we're talking with our wife or husband about dinner, even a prospect about switching from their current supplier to us. We are always selling something, and the sooner we accept this fact as true within ourselves, the sooner we'll be able to more confidently navigate the waters of the world. With all this talk about selling, it might seem a little ironic that the title of this episode and the story I shared earlier is not really about selling at all. Rather, making a genuine connection with another person. Let me reiterate, it is not about selling anything at all, but making a genuine connection with another person. When you go to sell someone anything, you cannot walk into the situation as a typical salesperson, and that's what this looks like. They accept no before they're told, and they stop before ever starting. You know, I mentioned earlier the no soliciting sign is the sales profession's worst nightmare. It's a brilliant tool stopping most salespeople from prospecting face-to-face, sometimes entirely, giving them an easy out for not connecting with another person. We often do this because of a fear that should we press on in the conversation, we won't be loved or respected by our fellow human beings. You know, often as kids, we're told things, as was I, ironically, seeing how my father was a professional salesperson himself, to not talk to strangers, that asking someone about money in really any fashion is rude, and so on. These scripts permeate throughout our life, and if not corrected, seep into other aspects of our lives, making the process of living itself quite difficult. Secondly, they tried closing before getting close. Let me say that again. They tried closing before getting close. I bet you $100 that the business owner from the story earlier had encountered hundreds of salespeople who had approached his office, if they even approached at all, due to the sign that said no soliciting and the internal scripting that comes with it, who spoke all about how great their business was and how long the company has been around, the superiority of the products and services as opposed to their prospect's current supplier and so forth, in an effort to close the sale and convince the prospect to buy. It's true that we all need to earn money, and we earn money by providing services and products that are needed and can help lighten another's load, and there's nothing wrong with it. The problem, however, is that the typical salesperson is thinking only about their own needs, wants, and aspirations, and in the rare event that they're speaking with a prospect about their own end of the stick, it's only used as a method of getting to the close rather than connecting genuinely on a human-human basis. Their frame of mind before walking away from the office wasn't, I know I can serve this business. It was, I know I can sell to this business. And because their intention wasn't service at the outset, the no soliciting sign was enough to send them on their way. Now, with all this in mind, what exactly can we do starting today that will make the most human profession and function ever conceived, which is selling? Something that doesn't make us feel sick at the thought of it, or close us off to the abundance that can and should be ours in more forms than either you or I could imagine. We begin by taking an honest inventory of ourselves. This is because this is where everything starts. It's the only place, so to speak, in our lives where we have complete and unquestionable control. To start, I want to talk about recalibrating your set point. I'll discuss this set point more in other episodes, though. Know that each one of us has a set point. It's like a thermometer set to a specific temperature in a drafty home. Your set point will raise your thoughts, feelings, and actions only to the extent necessary to sustain your current level of production, whether in everyday life or in business. Note that this set point concept is nothing new and has been written about and lectured on extensively for over 50 years. Simply stated, your set point is your psychological template that we habitually use to tell us what something means and directs our thoughts, feelings, and actions throughout life. The set point of every human being is their self-image. Though I'm not talking about the self-image in the exact same way as Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who coined the term and wrote about the concept in his fine book, Psycho-Cybernetics. To me, the self-image is not comprised of the images we hold in our mind, but the questions we ask ourselves and the meaning we give to the images we consistently hold about ourselves, our work, and our relationships with others. If someone tells us a joke, for example, we can take the joke to mean one thing or another. We make a decision, albeit habitually, that we're going to view what the other person has said as good or bad, for simplicity's sake. And it's our automatic evaluation, the questions we ask ourselves about the conversation, often so quickly we hardly notice, that determine our response and the result that follows. Now, one of the easiest ways to remedy this, should your set point not be meeting your desired outcomes, is to begin asking different and better questions about the circumstances you find yourself in. Take the story, for example, of the salesman having walked into a building full of businesses with nothing but his suit, a stack of business cards, and a genuine smile. If the salesman asks questions of himself like, what if I get turned away? Or a question like, what if they think I'm trying to sell them something and I'm really not? That would be embarrassing to try to sell them on the fact that I'm not trying to sell them anything, and so on. He likely would have never gotten the call a year later from that same business. He instead likely asked himself questions like, what will it mean if I go in there and be myself? And what if I use some slight humor? After all, I'm not trying to sell anything right now, I'm just prospecting. So, what are some new questions you can ask yourself that will help you look at things differently and help you come to new conclusions about who you are as a person and about your capabilities? As Tony Robbins mentioned in his brilliant program, Personal Power 2, nothing has any meaning except the meaning we give it. Do what you can do with the beautiful gift you've been given, control over your own mind, to construct a new meaning about your life circumstances. You'll begin feeling both better when you do this, and you'll take new actions and ultimately produce better results over time. Secondly, I want to talk about the golden rule and you. As Earl Nightingale spoke about many times in his lectures, it is so simple, so basic, and yet so misunderstood. Doing unto others as we would ask them to do unto us is not only an honest way to live, but it works unfailingly whether we work at it, so to speak, or not. Suppose someone walked into your place of business and wanted to have a conversation with somebody who makes decisions about ABC products and services. Would you prefer that person be a salesman or a solution provider? Most would opt for the solution provider, even though they're the same person. Would you want this person to tell you how great their company's products and services are? Or would you want this person to be genuinely concerned about the struggles your company is facing? How about the fact that your organization has had to push back payroll again this quarter to meet other financial needs and are hoping like hell your employees, understandably, don't simply walk out on them? Or do you want to hear some more about the prospective vendor's customer testimonials? I hazard to guess, like myself, that you would prefer the more sympathetic of the two in your plight, and you should. Now, beyond the profession of selling, when you're connecting with another person, you want to feel appreciated, respected, listened to, and cared for. The smoothest method I've known of applying the golden rule is to again ask yourself some different questions. As Jim Rohn, one of the finest philosophers of personal development, once said, instead of asking, what am I getting out of this situation, you should be asking, what am I becoming? This isn't hyperbole now. The basic truth is that if you want things to change for you, you have to change the way you are evaluating the situations before any meaningful progress will be able to unfold. It would be like wanting 1 + 1 = 3. If you want to get to 3, you cannot use the same equation. It doesn't work like that. Now, once you've started evaluating situations from a different angle, from the angle of how would I want this person to treat me given the situation was reversed, you're able to draw new conclusions, take better actions, reach out to the people with integrity, love for love's sake, and over time you'll be rewarded in kind. For all we know, life has a funny way of bringing back to you exactly what you've put out to others. In summing up what we've covered in this episode, it's clear that in order to get new results from life in any aspect, we must begin making new choices, starting with the choice of meaning and the choice of being. The first choice, made by recalibrating our set point, helps us wiggle out of the mental wedge we've placed ourselves in after years of consistently accepting program placed on us through others' expectations and experiences. The second choice, made by working harmoniously within the golden rule, ultimately is fueled by our determination and efforts with the first choice. In other words, once we change the meaning that has embedded itself in our everyday circumstances, we will near automatically begin to become one who exudes the qualities matching that which will provide for ourselves and those around us a better position. Whether that position is in our careers, our home life, our hobbies is almost inconsequential. The key here is that we simply use the gifts that we've been given to us to their fullest capacity, and in doing so, we'll come to know a life that once was only a dream waiting to be realized. In closing, we know that selling is a human experience. Stop focusing on the sale and focus on the person. People respond to connection, not pressure. Be a solution provider, not a salesperson. Listen to their needs and build a genuine foundation of trust. Secondly, change the script. Don't let the external signs or the internal fears stop you. Reframe challenges into opportunities with empowering questions like, how can I make a meaningful connection? Lastly, recalibrate your set point. Your set point governs your outcomes. Asking better questions for your circumstances and beliefs helps redefine their meaning, and in doing so leads to more productive actions. Living the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. Approach every interaction with integrity, empathy, and genuine care for the other person's challenges. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the BrightSail Breakthrough Series. If you enjoyed today's episode, remember to follow the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps others uncover our message. Share this episode with your network to inspire more professionals like yourself, and stay connected with us by joining the Leader Report newsletter for exclusive tips and insights. You can sign up today at brightsail.com. Until next time, lead with purpose, grow with intention, and optimize your impact.